this is working. Is this working? Live video is starting. Testing, one, two, three, testing. Live video is starting, it tells me. Okay, you're now live. All right, ladies, Karen McCoy here. This is my first time doing a Facebook Live in a long time because it didn't work for me for a long, long time. We'll see if this works for us, okay? I'm starting these again. If we do Facebook Lives, that's great. If we can't, we'll have to go to Zoom. I have had challenges seeing your comments in the past. If I don't answer your questions, guys, it's because I can't see the comments. So this is a little bit of a trial and error. So thank you for being with me as I work through this. Okay, so what I want to do on this live video is talk about a client scenario and look at where is her issue. So let me start with the client scenario because this is all about, as you know, aging women, right? And that's my forte in body transformation. I also do, other avenues. I do a lot of metaphysical work, but the body transformation space I've been in for a very, very long time. So the woman that I am sharing with you is a former client that I worked with for a long time. And she's a wonderful lady. She lives locally here on the island, and she is a coach's dream. What do I mean by that? She shows up, she does the work, she's committed, she's coachable. And so I wanted to be able to share her scenario with you in hopes that it might help some of you guys out there too. So let me just reposition here. Okay, so let me go through a little bit of what she's challenged with. So this is Dawn. And so Dawn is 63 years old. She's around 114, 117 pounds. Her body fat is 23%. So all looks great. I always say if you're between 20 and 25% body fat, you're rocking, man. Anything below 20, sure, if you're a genetic freak or if you're in pre-contest or if you're just super lucky, that's great. But as aging women, what I find is 20 to 25 is optimal. Over 25 to 30, sure, it's still good there. I do find women struggle over 30%. Many of my women are over 40% as well, and that's where I find a lot of the challenges with metabolism, with hormones, all that kind of stuff. I am going to address hormones deeper in next Friday's call, but right now I want to look at this scenario because it's so pertinent to so many women in this age. 40, 50, 60 plus is who I work with. So Dawn is 63. 23% body fat, around 117 pounds. She's short like me. I think she's probably around 5'3", 5'4". She trains with weights 4 to 5 days a week. I know how she trains. She's very diligent. She's a good in-gym gal. They're about 45 minutes at a time. She also does some HIIT, she does some yoga, and she does walking. So her issue is this. Her weight and body fat have not changed, but she is seeing an increase in belly fat. So what does all of that mean? So as a coach, this is where I have to go deeper into all things. So this is where she's thinking it might be insulin resistance. I'm going to go into lightly what insulin resistance really is, and could it be what's challenging her at 63 years of age when she's seeing an increase in body fat, but none of the other stats are changing. We'll see. So she had a family member that had type 1 diabetes, not type 2. Okay, so type 1 is you're born with something amiss in your pancreas. The pancreas, which is in underneath your tummy, okay, so a little bit of physiology here. So your tummy is in your ribs, okay? So it's actually not where we think it is, down below around our belly button. That's where our intestines are. So the stomach is hidden by the ribs to protect it. And the pancreas, which is, they say, is the ugliest organ in the body. I've never personally seen it, but it sits underneath the stomach. And what it does is it regulates blood sugars. Super, super important. So in people with type 1, there's something wrong in the pancreas, and they usually have to take external insulin, which helps shuttle sugars, blood sugars, into the cells, right? Liver, muscle cells. So she also has heart disease in her family. So I got a background on her family history. So I want to go deeper into this. So when it comes to coaching, my philosophy around coaching is my own protocol. I like to go deeper into, so I don't do one-offs. What do I mean by one-offs? So there's this thing out there called crowd coaching, I call it. That's just what I call it. It's where you go onto a forum and you say, I'm 5'3", I'm 118 pounds, I'm 25% body fat, um, and I have this little area here. What do I do? So it's all about stats. A lot of women are posting anonymously without pictures too, which doesn't really help. And so all of these coaches and trainers and people who want to support are coming in, and there's like 50 to 100 different responses from some in the know and some not. But it's based on this flat one scenario issue of here's the numbers. So I don't like to coach like that because I am about having women longer term where I can go into their entire world. So as a coach, what I believe, and the reason I'm saying this is because this is how I coach and this is how my Friday calls go. This is how I do it in my programming, guys. I want to step into the world of the client in front of me without agenda, without telling her what to do, but just suspending all ideas. And I want to really listen and sense. So the sensing part is a big part of what I do. So this is where I'm also listening to her words, what she's saying, what she's not saying, her pauses, little things that will come in and I'll go, wait, let's go back there. You just said. So it's important for me to be able to be really, really present. And I want to look at her life. I want to look at the people in her life. And it doesn't take long. It's just sometimes just looking on her profile page. Although those are a little bit shaky too these days. A lot of women, and I get it, they want the privacy. But it's really important that I understand, in this case, I want to know family history. I want to know her family dynamics. I want to know, is she working? Is she retired? Is she married? Is she single? What's going on? What are her stresses? And so a questionnaire helps, but I know Dawn. And so I know a lot of what's going on with her and her life. She has a pretty stable life. She has a beautiful family, extended family. She has kids, grandkids. She's kind of the matriarch in the family. So she does have a lot going on, but she lives the life of training, proper food management, and she's always managed her body well, and she's beautiful. She's got a great physique. So let me just go into what is insulin resistance. Okay, so insulin resistance, again, is basically where the pancreas, okay, that really ugly organ underneath your stomach, isn't able to manage blood sugar going into the body. And so what happens is the cells can kind of close or not accept insulin in, and we need blood glucose. We need blood sugar, right? To fuel us, to feed us, to manage our bodies and our health. And what happens is then the blood sugars are circulating in the body. This is where you can get a metabolic X syndrome, all sorts of things, but it can't shuttle in. And this is where diabetes comes in. Okay, so we can be pre-diabetic where the blood sugars are off, and we can do a test for that. It's a blood glucose test to test your A1Cs. That is your blood sugar. Are your blood sugars level? And it's a really awful test. I've had it done a few times, where you fast and then you have to drink this real sugary concoction, and then they test you. I can't remember if it's half an hour later or an hour later, and they want to see where your blood sugars are at. They want to see how your pancreas is working. So all's good in my world. All's good in Dawn's world too, right? So she has done the test. Everything is good there. And she has well, let me just go through a few more notes on insulin resistance so that we can really take a look at this, because it's really important that you guys understand, because here's the deal. A lot of women and a lot of practitioners are moving towards insulin resistance or cortisol, PCOS, what's the other ones? And I'm not saying that they're not present, guys, but what I'm saying is it's become the narrative too often in my experience. It really has become a go-to. And I'm always about getting the foundation in place getting the food in place, like really get it in place. When women say I eat healthy, no, 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 no. I want you to tell me how you eat and show me pictures on a real day. And then what I usually do is I ask them for 3 days worth of eating because I want to see, don't tell me, show me, because I can see stuff that the average person can't, right? And a lot of people's idea of eating well means they're not eating at McDonald's. Well, there's a whole spectrum in there, guys. So eating well is a willful act, and there are parameters around that. How are you moving, right? So all of that stuff. So with insulin resistance, again, the pancreas is not working properly. So this is where your muscles and your fat and your liver, very important, that liver, they do not respond to insulin as they should. So we call this impaired insulin sensitivity, right? And it's necessary to have good working pancreas and insulin movement in the body to manage blood sugars, right? So this is what we call blood glucose. So this is where pre-diabetic and diabetes can come in because of this. So the issues around insulin sensitivity, the signs of it can be a little bit off, but let's take a look at some of those signs. So if there is insulin resistance, you can have unexplained weight loss. Dawn doesn't have weight loss. She doesn't have weight gain, right? But she has additional belly fat that's happening, which she doesn't like. There can be fatigue. Increased thirst is a big one. I remember that in my cat. A lot of you guys, cats are prone, older cats are prone to diabetes, and my poor orange tabby was drinking a lot of water. She had diabetes, right? Frequent urination, increased hunger, blurred vision means it's getting quite serious, yeast infection as well. And so what you want to do is you can also look at skin tags is one of them, which I never knew. If you have skin tags, I mean, I have skin tags with age, but whatever. My blood sugars are fine. But apparently, and then what was the other one? I think it was browning or something. Discolored patches of skin. Didn't know that. So there's a new one for me. As coaches, we always got to be learning, right? So the test to see if you're insulin resistant, here's the deal. There is no routine testing. It's not solid and it hasn't been created. So it's difficult to diagnose insulin resistance, but you want to look at medical history. Is there diabetes in your family? So Dawn's family, there was a family member, I believe she's passed on, a grandma who had type 1 diabetes. Doesn't mean you can move into type 2 within genetically within a family. Not necessarily, but let's look at that. Okay, so family history, medical history. So she has done the medical history where they have done, what has she done? She's done blood tests. And she's doing HRT. We'll get into that. Physical exam, signs and symptoms. I didn't hear of any of these signs and symptoms of excess thirst, excess urination. But again, she's had her blood sugar taken and it's fine. Okay, so acquired causes of insulin resistance. Again, excess body fat, physical inactivity, which certainly doesn't relate to Dawn, food choices, which means high processed, sugary, but also fast foods that digest quickly. We don't have that here. Certain medications, as far as I know, she's not on any medications like steroid medications, blood pressure meds, HIV meds, those kinds of things will create some kind of insulin resistance as well, right? So all of those factors are good. So where are we going with this? So this is where I want to say, I'm going to get off of here. This is where I want to say we got to go deeper, okay? So what does that mean? What is your stress? So again, when we look at stress, I'll do a whole other thing on stress. Everybody has a busy life, guys. Everybody says they're stressed. I don't like the word stress because stress is it's a non-word. It's a wastebasket word. And so when I work with women, I go deeper into, so this is what we're doing in the new conscious living program coming up in January, which I strongly would recommend that Dawn and other women who are challenged with stress come into, because There are ways of accessing unconscious self-limiting beliefs, patterns, and conditioning. So I know for Dawn, she is very busy with her family. She tries to manage a lot. So could this be the archetypes or personas that a lot of us wear? The people pleaser, the fixer, the caretaker, the matriarch of the family, the perfectionist. Those can hinder our ability to live a free, unencumbered, stress-free life. So it's never about the external environment, guys. It's never about what's happening to us out there, because it happens to everybody. It is how you here are working through it. I have apparently a very stressful life because I have a child with a terminal condition. It's degenerative. I manage a business, I manage a household, I manage a team of care workers coming and going. One would look at it and go, oh my gosh. But I've been able to work through it because I've done this mindset work for years. That is why I'm doing the Conscious Living program in January, so I can share those tactics with women so that they can learn to manage their world and age well and be able to understand where they're putting their energy outside of themselves because it affects the body. It affects cortisol. It can. Can it affect insulin? Sure. But again, I am looking from what I know in my many talks with Dawn over the last 2 weeks because I wanted to create this for you guys. So we have talked back and forth for a lot of moments, and she's been really great in being able to share with me what I feel I need at this point to be able to help her and support you guys. So my next question, when we're talking about stress, is are you on social media? We're all on social media. We're on social media right now. And so she said, no, I'm not, but I listen to podcasts around menopause, etc. That's social media. Okay, so I'm not just talking scrolling. I don't do TikTok, guys. I don't want to be there. I don't find it purposeful, whatever. If you like it, great. But I also manage my social media because I need to coach, and I need to coach from a place of knowing and doing instead of everything that's out there because it's a crazy world as you know it. So I would say for most women, when they come work with me, I always say to them, you got to get off social media and just have one voice just for now, which is me and my two other coaches, so that we can set you straight. And what I find is a lot of women are frustrated at this age, 40, 50, 60 plus, with their body, lack of results, added body fat, whatever it happens to be, and they're looking out there. I'm eating right, I'm training, what's going on? Okay, but there's a lot of other factors. It's usually in the details, it's not in the big stuff. The food and the training is the easy part. That's what I do. I'm in the body transformation space. That's what I do. Once we get that happening, which happens fast, you just stay consistent with it. We play with it a bit. We have check-ins, but then we got to go into the inner landscape, okay? Where are you living in your head? What are your beliefs? What are your stories? What are your personas or archetypes that keep popping up that you're unaware of? Or you might be aware of them, but generally 95% of our beliefs are unconscious and they run the show. So that is where I would love for women to, like Dawn and whomever, to join me going deeper in some way, in you know, whether they do it on their own, whether they go and find a metaphysician or whatever. This is super important because life does not get easier as we age, guys. Have you noticed that? It's getting tougher. We have become the sandwich group where we're looking after aging parents and still our kids, grandkids, whatever. And we're managing households. We're trying to work through a tough economy, weird politics, health issues. We're getting, you know, we're getting older and things are flaring up. There's a lot going on, right? So then I went on to ask Dawn, are you on HRT? She said, yeah. Okay, great. I love HRT. I'm going to do a whole one on HRT. I've done a lot of them, guys, but I think we need to do one on bio HRT and synthetic HRT. So it's really, really important that you understand there is not a lot of research between the difference, the efficacy, and the safety of both. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I am not trained. I have two metabolism certifications, one from Dr. Stacy Sims, one from Girls Gone Strong. But what I find is the best experience for me has been going through it and working with my endocrinologist, because I've been on bio HRT for 16 years, and just being curious. And I sit and I go through. Here's my blood test from, I don't know, what is this, 2020, 2024. I just did more blood tests. I go through everything. I want to know what the hell are all these things here, right? So we'll talk about the blood test in HRT. So let me continue on. So she's on HRT. However, when I said what, how much? She is on progesterone, 75 milligrams, so slow release, which I'm assuming she takes at night to help with sleep, right? That's important. And she's also doing estrogen lubrication. So just for down there, right? So it's a cream or a gel. It's usually a gel that you put on down there. Okay, great. So important point here, guys. Listen up. I asked her, where's the testosterone and where's the estradiol? Estradiol is the more potent, and that's the main estrogen. There's three different estrogens we have, okay, but estradiol is the one that is most prominent in the reproductive years before menopause. That's the one that usually you supplement with. And so, where are those? Now, this is what her practitioner said, and this is really important. This was my aha moment, because I always find one or two aha moments, and this is where I would like her to shift from first before looking at her food and looking at her training, which I know are pretty well spot on. Um, and she's getting accumulated body fat in her belly, which she doesn't like, but her weight, her body fat hasn't changed. Her calories are around 1700. Cool. Now she is eating 5 to 6 times a day, which kind of surprised me. But that's fine. Everybody has a different body. So she has 3 meals and 3 snacks, right? Because she trains, and she trains pretty early, like 5 in the morning. God bless her. And so she has this recipe that's working for her, but it's only around 17, maybe a little bit more calories. So that's cool. That's fine. And so I don't find that more is better. And they have done research, even in us competitors, when we compete. There used to be eat more to burn fat and manage your metabolism and manage your blood sugars. And so it was 5, 6 times a day. There was no difference than if you ate 3 to 4 times a day in your body fat metabolism and hormonal function. But I think for bodybuilders who are in show, which is different than women doing a bodybuilding routine, guys, when you're in show, it's on another planet. We're always hungry. And so to eat 6 times a day is sometimes good because we're always hungry. So it's fine. But I find it gets in the way of my life, and I don't like constantly having food in my mouth. So I'm eating 3 times a day. Anyways, that aside, I don't think that's the issue here. So back to testosterone and estrogen. Where are those two hormones, and why are they not in your recipe? She's with a naturopath. A lot of people love naturopaths. Functional medicine people can also be along these lines, but they cannot prescribe testosterone because it's a controlled substance. That is why I don't go to naturopaths, because I want testosterone, right? So I go to an endocrinologist who specializes only in hormones. That's it. And she is a doctor and she can prescribe. So that is the big difference between the two. Now, everybody knows testosterone builds bone, manages metabolism, it helps you stay strong, helps you recover. It helps with, hormonal balancing. It helps with energy, it helps with libido, and it helps with lubrication, guys. So testosterone is super, super important. You can take it in pills, you can take it in cream. Some women do patches. Some women in Canada, we don't really do pellets that much. Pellets, I find, is more in the US, where they put them under the skin. Oh, I don't want that, but whatever. Some women like it because it just releases on its own. But I want to be able to manage the amount going in case I need to up it or lower it, right? You can't do that with pellets. So everybody's different, but testosterone is super, super important for healthy aging, guys. The other one is estrogen, okay? Estradiol. So estrogen helps with healthy skin, elasticity, tightness. It helps with bone health. It helps with heart. So her naturopath said, I don't want you on estrogen because you have heart disease. That's exactly why you need to be on it, guys. Okay? The number one killer of women over 60, okay, in menopause is heart disease. Now, it may have been second place now with cancer because cancer seems to be moving up the ladder, man. So it may be cancer is number one and heart disease is number two. I'm not sure, but it's too high. And what they found is after the flawed Women's Health Initiative study of 2002, where everybody ran from HRT because they said women were sick and dying and getting cancer, it was flawed. And even the Women's Health Initiative had to say, oops, sorry, they were using ill women over 60 for the study. But a lot of practitioners are still scared. It put a scare factor into a lot of women, a lot of practitioners, right? But estrogen is, they feel, one of the biggest causes of heart disease in older women because we lose it. And it is heart protective, brain protective. So it lowers the Alzheimer's and dementia conditions that can come in with age. It builds strong bones, guys. It balances metabolism, hormonal function. Now, you do need to be with somebody who is certified in this, okay? It's super, super important. So when I asked Dawn what were her lab tests like, now I didn't ask her, but I'm assuming because she said she had a blood test, but that blood test was 7 years ago. Where's the yearly? Where's the yearly blood work? Okay, there hasn't been in 7 years. Well, how do you know anything's working? Again, some practitioners are not able to do those or able to read them properly because it's not in their wheelhouse. It's not their deal. They're just in a different arena. So that is where my strongest suggestion to Dawn at this time was to push the envelope, find somebody who specializes in hormones, aging, with all of this blood work. Blood work. Okay, so this is where I'm going to touch on saliva versus blood work. Okay, I'm not an expert in this field, guys. I prefer blood work. I love my recipe. I've been doing it for 16 years now, with no hitch. And there are people who do saliva, and that's fine if that's what you prefer. That's not my preference. And I would say, especially for Dawn, she needs to go deeper into the lab work. So this is where, and I had to write all this down. So I sat, like my poor endocrinologist, I sat with her for like 45 minutes and went, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? I want to know. This is my body. Yes, there's a cost, guys. But there's a cost to buying Starbucks every day too. So put that aside and say, this is my health, this is my body. I'm going to pay the whatever it is a year. I think I pay 400 a year. 400 a year. For all of this, man, I would pay triple that or more to find out the health of my body. So we go through white blood cell count. Very important. Do you have inflammation? Do you have a disease? Is there something happening in your body? White blood cell count, red blood cell count, hemoglobin, hematocrit, some of this I can't pronounce, MCV, which is mean corpuscular volume, platelet count, okay? That helps blood to clot. Neutrophils, which is white blood cells that heal damaged tissues. You want them strong. Lymphocytes, this is white blood cells in the marrow, in the bone. Monocytes, white blood cells help fight cancer. I want that at a good level, right? Eosinophils, white blood cells that fights parasites. Basophils, white blood cells that manages thyroid function. So this is the hematology panel only. This is all the blood work, right? I don't know if you guys can see that. And then there's progesterone. So I've got my levels of progesterone. We go on. So here's my progesterone levels. They were good because I'm supplementing with prometrium. Glucose fasting. There's the fasting part. Where are my blood sugars? They're good. They're right on. DHEA, which I also take. It's an adrenal hormone, so it counters cortisol, guys. I take DHEA. Lipids, Fats. Where are my fats? I want to know. My cholesterol, my LDL and HDL. What you want is better HDL than LDL. LDL is where the cholesterol falls and it lines the arteries. You don't want that, right? Then it goes into testosterone, of course. There's blood and there's free. So you want to weigh both. You want lab work that shows both because there's free floating, right? And then there is blood, or sorry, there's in the muscle in the body and in the blood. So those are the two that you want to manage. And so you want to look at both of those. Are they biologically active in the blood protein, right? And then the sex hormone binding globulin is a hormone that's made by the liver that binds to estrogen and testosterone. And so you want to see how it's carrying those in your body throughout the day, right? I think that's it. So there's a lot going on here, and this is what we need to do every year. Every year I get it done. I just went to the lab and got my all my blood taken 2 days ago. Super, super important. Okay. Um, so you've got to find a practitioner that goes deeper into this work, especially as a woman in perimenopause or menopause. We want to age well, guys, but it takes a conscious decision and a keen interest in this to be able to question, push the envelope. I know too many women that say, well, my doctor won't do that or won't do this. Find another doctor. Are you kidding me? I know sometimes it can be hard to find or push, or go to an endocrinologist, go to a functional medicine person or a clinic, because there's a lot of them now, and ask questions. Ask what they're going to do for you. So, back to a summary here. Dawn's protein needs to be consistent, which it is. She eats good protein, and I'm happy with that. She has consistent training. She has complex carbs. In those complex carbs, they break down slowly. You want the fiber in there and also in your veggies. So I am not a fan of the carnivore diet, guys, for many reasons, but one of them is it lacks in veggies. And we need those phytonutrients, and we need all of that lovely fiber. Yeah, you can take a fiber source in like a Metamucil, but Mama Nature knows and has all of this bioavailability in the beautiful foods that we have. And our bodies were made to process from Mother Nature. So this is where we also have to look at meditation or manage stress. We have to look at the unconscious world we live in and make sure we're connected to something beyond ourselves. I don't care if it's God, Allah, Spirit, Shakti, whatever. Whatever it is for you, we are in direct relationship with the environment, with Mother Earth. And Father Time is trying to rip the muscle off our body, and it is trying to take the bone out of our body too. And so as aging women, we need to fight that because it's happening faster. And it's only because Father Time says, well, you're not having babies anymore. So you don't need those hormones, and you don't need to be, young and sexy to attract the male to, procreate. Sorry, guys. This just goes way, way back. And so we're going to just, lessen the hormones because your baby making days are over. And with that means you don't need all this lean muscle, and the bone tends to go as well. So you should be taking your vitamin D. That's one of the things I actually ask for in my lab work. I want to see my vitamin D. Again, another story, but it feeds bone, it feeds metabolism. Do you know it also helps with lower back pain? Just a little side note. So I want you guys to be aware of what you're listening to and reading on social media, and find somebody who can support you in your work who is qualified. Now, I want to share something with you. I have a client in my close unused application action needed. I don't know what that means. I have a client in my program. I better close this one then if it wants me to close it. There you go. Facebook, are you happy now? I'm trying to close it. There, let's close it. There. I don't know. Dismiss application. This is why I don't like Facebook, because I don't know if anybody's out there. I hope you are. If this doesn't work, I'm going to Zoom. That's just the way it has to be. A client who had stubborn weight. She had stubborn weight to lose, And she has been in my program for a while, but she meandered off. She meandered off. And I didn't see her for a while. And when that happens, like, I'm like, where are you? I haven't heard from you. I haven't seen you in our weekly calls. I don't see your check-ins. And she came back, said, I'm sorry, I'm back. Okay. And mentioned, I think I might have insulin resistance. Oh no, I think it was cortisol. Was it cortisol? I can't remember. And she said, is this why I'm not losing weight? And I went, honey, how's your food? How's your training? And she was still sitting probably with 30 or 40 extra pounds on her body. And I went, do you really think it's cortisol or insulin? She went, well, I went to a seminar. Right. Because that's what people are doing now. They're doing all these seminars on it must be this, it must be that, it must be this, it must be that. And this is where they're just following the crowd and they're regurgitating, and there is a loss of critical thinking in this industry, which really is detrimental to women's health and goals. And so she went, you're right, you're right. She went out there to find the answer because she was frustrated. I get it. But all she needed to do was come back into the work with us and me and my two coaches, to be able to go, okay, I need to re-engage. I need to give my food logs. I need to get into my proper training and do my check-ins, okay? So that's the first really important part. So what I would say to Dawn, the increase in belly fat, let's try the hormonal shift first, because everything else is check, check, check. Her food, her training, her body fat, her weight, her calories, it's all good. The other thing, guys, and this is not going to be well received, but it's really important you understand, aging changes things. Now, if you're not on estrogen, the skin will lose its elasticity, but it's not going to save you, okay? Aging changes things. And there can be a drop in elasticity, collagen, right? And so what happens is the skin can tend to hang a little bit more. And when that happens, the belly can look like it actually has more, but it just has more hang. I know it's not pretty, but that's the way it is. And so I think for Dawn, the biggest and best shift for her would be to find a practitioner that can look deeper into the hormones. And I want her to be comfortable. If she's not comfortable with it, then don't do it. I mean, you've got to have your comfort level, but you want to challenge your belief system and your comfort level around your hormonal protocol, right? And you want to be able to be curious about what's going on. And so this really is a comfort level. And I do find a lot of naturopaths are very leery of hormones. All they want to do is just get through menopause and stem the symptoms and get off. That's not my belief system, guys. And that's not what a lot of healthy aging models are doing now. They're like, no, no, you actually want to stay on these hormones for the rest of your life. It's a different way of thinking, but it's been around for a very long time. It just hasn't been around in the North American conservative mindset. It's been in Europe for a long time. And when I went into all of this, I decided I wanted to learn. I'm a sponge, and I wanted to use my body as experiment, which is where I I learn most of my stuff. You learn to do by doing, and 30 years in the trenches, well, 40 years, competing and training and food and all that stuff, but 30 years in the mindset and the hormonal stuff, and having worked with thousands of women who are in their 40s and beyond, it's different. It's a different story. And we are becoming more aware of it. And now women and practitioners are looking at hormone replacement therapy as the anti-aging key, but it has to be done right. And when you just, pick little things, it's like I find that a lot of the hormonal support is in a symphony. And you kind of have to have this symphony of all of them or a lot of them together because they work synergistically, right? So that would be my suggestion to Dawn. And what I said to her was stay with it. If she's going to go into it, that's her choice. But stay with it for at least 3 months. That was the best advice one practitioner gave me a long, long time ago when I had very ill health and things weren't working in my body and I was running around doing massage and chiropractor and acupuncture and on and on and on. And he said, stay with this one modem for 3 months before you decide to take something out on. And that is really valuable information, guys, because too many people jump around. I see this all the time in weight loss. Well, it's not working. They've been there for 2 weeks, or in training, and I see this a lot more than ever. Women going on, well, I've been training for 3 months. How come my before and after pictures don't change? Because it's been 3 months. I didn't see change in my body. I would say 18 months to 2 years, decent change. Um, and but I felt it in my body right away. So what I always say is whatever change is happening, especially in strength training, again, another whole topic of conversation, you will feel it before you see it. Okay. But in this instance, when we're looking at food, you know, it might be active living or cardio as well. Don't be changing a bunch of things at once, going drastically into a calorie cut, adding on tons of cardio, and you don't know what's working, changing your foods drastically, what's working. So we want to look at things in a bubble and just take a look at, okay, we can shift this a little and a little, but this is kind of where I think you need to go. And that's what I would suggest for Dawn. I hope this live worked. I will check and see when I get out and see if there's any questions, guys. Please put them in the comments below this video so that I can answer them. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. I really hope that it recorded, because I don't know. I haven't been on Facebook Lives for a long time just because they were changing too many things. It wasn't working. I'm not able to see. Maybe if I'm on my phone, I might be able to see, but I don't want to work on my phone, guys. I'm not a techie gal, and my phone is just a phone. And so that's where I need to be to keep life simple, to keep my stress down, and be able to manage and coach in a way where I'm like this and I can do my job. So let me know any questions. Please put them in the comments, or any concerns, any comments about this video. Next Friday, we will go into the difference between bios and synthetic. I'll go a little bit deeper into, and I'll show you my protocol, my bioidentical protocol, you know, everything that I take and the amounts. But again, it's my recipe, but it might help to show you some options, and we can talk about that. Okay? All right, gals. Thanks for joining me. And thank you, Dawn, for being such a good friend and a good client and a good purveyor of information to be able to. I hope this helps you, and I also hope that it helps women out there. And if I may add on, nowadays you can do tests anywhere at any lab. I don't even have to go see my practitioner. She gets it all. She gives me the questionnaire, the yearly questionnaire, because the questions matter, as far as, you know, your strength, your sleep, your libido, all that kind of stuff. So I fill all that out. It goes to her, and we have a phone conversation. You can do it from anywhere in the world, guys, and that's the beauty of it. So you don't have to go into the office anymore. It used to be that way when I started, I don't know, 16 years ago, but not anymore. Usually the initial one, you have to go into the office because they want to see that you're a real person and they want to talk to you. Fair enough. And there's usually a fee for the initial. After that, again, it depends on the model of whoever's doing it. But after that, I'm just on a phone call. I just get my, oh, time to do your lab work. Okay, I go to the lab with my rec that they email me. They do the blood work. It gets emailed to her. She calls me and says, okay, we need to change this and this. Do you have any questions? Yes, I have a million. Okay, let's go through them because I want to know everything. But my recipe is rarely changed over 16 years. And I'm super happy with how I feel, and aging feels pretty good. Okay, guys, lots of love. Drop your questions. Okay, ciao. End live. Where am I there in? Bye.